up, all you lovely learners out there in learning land? Tyler from 10thumbspro.com coming at you with another ukulele tutorial like we do every single Wednesday and Saturday. If you like this kind of content, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a lesson. Today we're talking the Mixolydian mode. We're going to learn all 5 shapes of it, and we're going to do that in 5 different keys, and we're going to see the corresponding chord shape for each Mixolydian scale shape. We'll also learn a riff with the backing track for each shape. So this lesson will take you from zero knowledge of the mode to being pretty much a Mixolydian master. Printable tabs and the backing tracks by becoming a Patreon, links in the notes, links in the description as well. You'll also see my email for some Skype lessons one-on-one if interested, as well as a link to our Instagram. Play yourself shred the Mixolydian, tag us, and we'll share it on our story. Let's go ahead and grab our ukulele. Brain, you're gonna need your brain for this one big time, and the attention span. Once you have those 3 things, follow me on in and let's break this tutorial down together. Come on in, let's do it. Okay, so in this tutorial, like I mentioned in the intro, we are going to discuss all 5 shapes of the Mixolydian scale, or the Mixolydian mode, and we are going to discuss the chords in the 5 shapes that correspond with that. So let's take a look at the chords that we're going to use and how to move them. The first is the D7. Bar the 5th fret and get your middle finger on the 6th fret of the C. The root note for this chord is here on the A string. So if you move this chord, wherever you put this shape, if you know this note on the A string, for example, C, C note, C7, we're going to be using it in the D. The next one we're going to look at is this A7, that is 2, 4, 3, 4. Your root note here is on the G. For this particular lesson, I am playing a low G because I want to as well teach the notes for the scale on the G string, and that will sound better with the G. You can follow along with the high G, no problem. In fact, with the exception of only one riff, the riffs are only using these 3 strings. So if you don't have a high G, don't feel like you can't follow along with this lesson. 95% of it is geared towards these 3 strings. And this is only to help people with a low G that want to know the extra 2 notes in the scale. All right, this A7 is the 2nd fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret with your root on the G string. If you know that note, you can move it anywhere. For example, here, the 5th fret of the G string is a C note. So if I move the shape here, it becomes a C7. All right, but we're going to be playing it as an A7. The next chord is a G7, and our root is here. This comes from the E7 shape. The shape we're playing is 4, 5, 3, 5. Root note there. If you know that note, you know what chord it is. For example, that's an A note, so 6, 7, 5, 7 becomes an A7. We will be using it as a G7. The next one is an E7. And this chord is 4, 2, 4, 2. And this particular one is the trickiest because it doesn't have a root. So it's actually an E7 sans E note. So how do you know how to move it? Well, the root note would be directly below your ring finger. So whatever this note is, that would be the root note. So if you play it, for example, up here, whatever this note is, on 7, 5, 7, 5 would be the root note. So that's a G note. So here it would function as a G7. It's probably weird to think about an E7 without an E note, but the 2 intervals that have the most defining characteristics of your chord are your 3rd interval and your 7th interval. And those are the tones that define a chord. For example, an E major, an E minor, and an E7 all have an E note and they all have a B note. It's the 3rd and the 7th interval that changes them. That's why those are the most important to keep. All right, and then we're going to see a C7, 0, 0, 0, 1. And the root note here is the C string. You've probably seen this as a D7 before, root note there. We're going to be using it as a C7. Okay, so those are the 5 dominant chord shapes and how to move them. You should be able to move chords up and down the neck. And if you get nothing else from this lesson but mastering the 5 dominant shapes and the ability to move them up and down the neck based on the root, that in itself is huge. Okay, Continuing, let's take a look at shape 1 of the Mixolydian. All right, so before we move on, let's take a look at how to construct the C Mixolydian. If you put up the intervals for the major scale up here, those are the intervals for the major scale. The only difference between that and a Mixolydian is the flat 7th. So we're pushing that note down there that would normally be the 7th interval down to the flat 7th. So in a C, what would normally be the major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, we've moved this B to a B flat, the flat 7th. So the Mixolydian would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. Whole step, half step, so far the same. Whole step, so far the same. Half step, that's the different whole step, okay? So that's the formula to create the Mixolydian. The Mixolydian is the 5th mode of the major scale, and it sounds great in blues context, rock contexts. You can use this for soloing in blues. You can use it to create very cool rock and roll chord progressions as well. Shape 1, we're going to be doing shape 1 in the key of D. Shape 1 in the key of D is 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so to review that, 4, 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9. Shape 1 of the Mixolydian. And we are going to riff over this with a D vamp. So let's look at our riff. Our riff, we're going to start off and we're going to do a double stop with our ring finger on the 7th fret and our pinky on the 8th. We're going to play that, remove it, and play 5, 5 of the E and the A, and then back to our double stop. So it's like, and that first one has some swing. 1 and 2 and, then you'll pull 8 to 5, 3 and, play the 6th fret here of the C string, 7th fret, down to the 5th fret, 7, 7, and then strum through that D7 chord. So the riff really slow, you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3. All right, so let's go ahead and try to play that. Practice it nice and slow, and then we're going to take it to the jam track. Because the same way we were moving those chords earlier with the root note, you can move the Mixolydian scale or the Mixolydian mode with the root note. So when we played 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, if you know where the D notes are in there, right there, and right there, you're able to move them. So for example, if I want this to be C Mixolydian, my notes are right there, and I would create the scale with the same shape based on those roots. 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5, 7. All right, so that's how you move it. You memorize the shapes, then you know where the root notes are, and then you can move the shapes left and right accordingly. Okay, so having seen the riff, having seen how to move it, why don't we go ahead and play this riff to the backing track in the key of D. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you're doing great. This is definitely a lot of scale theory, chord theory, all those things combined with some riffing. So this isn't the easiest lesson, but your ability to understand the ukulele should be expanded tremendously by this one. All right. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the A Mixolydian, and we're going to be doing it from shape 2. So shape 2 is going to be starting on our G string, 2, 4, down to the C string, 1, 2, 4, E string, 2, 3, 5. Oops, there it is. And then 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 1, 2, shape 2 of the Mixolydian. All right, so our riff, we're gonna start off with a triplet, 5, 4, 2, and then we're gonna get the 5th fret on the 2nd beat with our ring finger. Tripola boom. From there, we're gonna play the 4th fret with our middle finger of the C string, and then back to the 5th fret with our ring finger on the 3rd beat. 3, 4, and. Then on the and, that 4th beat. So that first measure we get. All right, and then on the and, we're gonna go back to 5, then we're gonna go 5, 4, 3, and then on the 2nd beat, we'll grab the 5th fret with our ring finger, then the 3rd beat will make our A7 shape. So that 2nd measure will be tripola, tripola, 2, 3. Okay, so our riff. All right, let's put that one in the backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, before moving on, let's see how to transpose or how to move that shape. The root note for shape 2 is on the G string. So if I want to move it and make it, for example, C Mixolydian shape 2, I find my C note on the G string, 5th fret, and I plug in the exact same shape, which would be 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 7, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. And that is how you transpose that shape. All right, so we are on shape 3. We're gonna be doing this one via G. G Mixolydian, shape 3 of our mode, and we're gonna be doing it around this scale shape that we learned earlier. Our scale is, or the mode is 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. So it would sound like this. 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. Okay, so let's take a look at the lick that we built. Okay, so the lick starts off with with just some 8th notes, 3, 5 on the E string. Then we're gonna go into a triplet on the A string, 2, 3, 5. Then from there, we're gonna let that ring on the 3rd beat, and then we're gonna come down and play 3, 4, 2 from the E string, and then the 4, 2 on the C string, and then our shape right there. Let that ring for a whole measure, maybe with a little vibrato. 1 and 2 pola, 3, 4 pola, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 pola, 3, 4. Well, 1 and 2 pola, 3, 4 pola, 1. One time without counting. And there you have it. Now, how do you transpose this shape? Well, let's take a look at the root. Okay, so let's look at how to transpose it. The root here is on the on the E string. So if I know that note, I know how to move it. Let's say I want to make it the B Mixolydian. Well, I have a B note right here. So I would construct the shape based on that note. And based on this note, what I would get would be a, starting on the 6th fret, 6, 8, 9, 6, 8, 9, 7, 9, 6, 7, 9. There we have it, how to move the B Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shape 4, and we're going to be doing this one through E Mixolydian this time. And our shape, this one I think is one of the easier ones to memorize because it actually has some repetition. It's 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. Okay, so that is our shape. as always, practice that. If you want to transpose it, the way to do so is with the root note here on the C string, and you would just move it and then plug in that shape. So for example, you want to make it G Mixolydian shape 4, it would be 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Okay, so let's take a look at the lick. Our lick here, we're going to start off and we're going to bar the 4th fret of the E and the A. We're going to go A string, E string, 4, 4. Then we're going to go into a triplet and grab the 2nd fret of the A string, 2. Then we're going to play 5, 4 on the E string, and then 2 on the 3rd beat of the E string here. So we get 4, 4, 2, 5, 4, 2. Then we drop down 4, 2 on the C string, 4, 2, 4, then our chord, 1 and 2, 3. So we get 1 and 2 pola 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2 pola 3, 4. Yeah, oops. 1 and 2 pola 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 pola 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. All right, let's do that to a backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you're doing great. You've made it through so far 4 shapes. We're gonna take a look at the last shape. We're gonna base this one around this C7 here, and the shape is 023, 02, 013, 013. This is a great shape to kind of illustrate the difference between, a reminder of this between the Mixolydian and the major scale, because if you move this 1 to a 2, the same notes become C major or C Ionian. But Mixolydian, that 7th becomes the flat 7th, and we get 023, 02, 013, 013. Okay, and the root note is on the C, so to transpose that, you just need to know what this C note is. For example, I want to make it F Mixolydian shape 5. I have an F note here on the 5th fret of the C string, so I would play 0, 7, 8. Well, not O, whoopsies. I would play 5, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8. And that is shape 5 of the F Mixolydian. Okay, so let's take a look at the lick in C. The lick sounds like this. All right, pretty cool. We're going to play the 3rd fret of the E string, and then we're going to go down on the 2nd beat and 1 pull open A back to the open E string. So we get 1 pull O A O. All right, and that's our first 16th. So it would be like 2 E and 3. Then we're going to go up here and do 1 pull open on the A string, grab the 3rd fret of the E string, and then jump up 1st fret A string, and then up strum that C7 chord, come down, mute it on the 2nd beat, and then strum through on the 3rd. One, 2 E and 3, 4 E and 1 and 2, down. Let's do it a little slower. And there you have it. That's the lick in the 5th shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have seen, to review, we have seen all 5 shapes of the Mixolydians in 5 different keys and the 5 dominant chords that correspond with each shape. That means if you can move these chords, you can identify the shape around these chords and you can create some solos, which is really nice because that would be the easiest way to use it. You have a chord progression that goes G, C, D7 for 2 measures. Well, that D7 is a great place for you to use the Mixolydian scale to create some fills in the riff. So you got G, C, and then now because you know how to build the scale around this, you can create some interesting fills and licks around it. All right, and that's just me improvising with it. So there you have it. All 5 shapes of the Mixolydian, all 5 corresponding chords, how to transpose them, and a lick for each one. Mixing it up with the Mixolydian, the Mixomeister, the Mixorama. All right, folks, there you have it. All 5 shapes of the Mixolydian, the 5 corresponding chords that correspond with each shape, a lick in each shape, and putting it to a backing track. So now you can really put this into your vocabulary, use it to shred. You can use it for blues. You can use it for rock-based chord progressions. You can use it for anytime you're soloing over any dominant chord in any chord progression, whether it's diatonic or non-diatonic. A lot of different uses for it. Keep on rocking and rolling. Think about becoming a Patreon. Links in the notes, links in the description. T-shirts up there as well. Skype lessons 101. Follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next Wednesday or Saturday for our next ukulele tutorial. Take care and have a lovely day. Rock and roll. Ciao.